Into his own. Dalton, a little flea flicker action. He's got Ross, and he is into the end zone for the touchdown.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen some pretty big names come from the college ranks only to fail to perform when they hit the NFL. And unfortunately, no matter how wonderful and perfect your team may seem on the surface, I guarantee you that they had one dude that they were really pumping up who just failed to meet any of those expectations. Over the past decade, all 32 NFL teams have been haunted by at least one draft pick that felt like a genius move at the time. But the player they ultimately thought would turn out to be a superstar never wound up being close to reaching that hype. Now, before we start, we do want to clarify that this isn't a list about every team's biggest draft bust since 2013. The video is focused on players who entered the NFL with through-the-roof hype, only to perform well below expectations. Alright, so with that, let's get right into it. And a big shout out to user FH9ZYZV4K for suggesting this video. Arizona Cardinals, Isaiah Simmons. Simmons was a key cog of the Clemson Tigers' 2018 National Championship season. In his final year of college, he won ACC Defensive Player of the Year and Butkus Award honors. The ultra-versatile Simmons could line up safety, corner, linebacker, or defensive end. So it was a mega thrill for Cardinals fans when the team selected Simmons 8th overall in the 2020 NFL Draft. But so far, no cigar. Simmons has been a replaceable level starter by all metrics. Atlanta Falcons, Vic Beasley. Sticking with Clemson linebackers, Beasley earned consensus All-American and first-team All-ACC nods in 2013 and 2014. In the latter year, he was named the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Atlanta drafted Beasley 8th overall in 2015. He recorded a league-leading 15.5 sacks for the Falcons in its sophomore 2016 season, helping the club to a Super Bowl 51 appearance. That was peak Vic Beasley at the NFL level, though, as he was out of the NFL after the 2020 season. Baltimore Ravens, Marquise Brown. Through his first 4 NFL seasons, Brown had one season of 1,000+ yards. Even a reunion with Murray in Arizona in the 2022 season did little to help Brown make that next jump to the level of superstar. At this point, it feels like he'll be a serviceable WR2 instead of one of the next big things at wideout. Buffalo Bills, Sammy Watkins. The Bills loved Watkins so much that they traded their 2014 and 2015 first plus a 2015 fourth rounder to the Cleveland Browns so they could move up and take the speedy Clemson wideout 4th overall. The two-time first-team All-American had 982 and 1,047 receiving yards in 2014 and 2015 respectively, and then his play inexplicably declined from there. He wound up becoming an injury-prone journeyman receiver, though Watkins did win a Super Bowl 54 ring with the Kansas City Chiefs. Carolina Panthers, Derek Brown. We're admittedly nitpicking a bit here since, well, the Panthers have actually done pretty well with most of their recent first-round picks. But thus far, ex-Auburn star defensive tackle Derek Brown has not lived up to the pre-NFL hype. The 2019 Lott Trophy and SEC Defensive Player of the Year went 7th overall to Carolina in 2020. He was a barely above-average starter in 2020 and 2021, though strong improvement was shown in 2022. So far, he's left quite a bit to be desired with his play. Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky. The Bears traded up one spot to snag Trubisky 2nd overall in 2017, infamously over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. The North Carolina product was ranked by countless scouts and analysts as the top QB prospect in this draft. So it felt like a special moment in Bears history when they snagged Trubisky. And yeah, obviously we know how that turned out. Cincinnati Bengals, John Ross. The Washington wideout ran a record 40-yard dash time of 4.22 seconds in 2017, all but cementing himself as a top 10 pick in the star-studded class. The Bengals took Ross 9th overall, hoping that he'd form a prolific receiving duo alongside A.J. Green. Unfortunately, injuries and a lack of production have prevented Ross from coming anywhere close to all that hype. In 4 years as a Bengal, he played 27 games and had just 733 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. Not great. Cleveland Browns, Johnny Manziel. Come on, do we really need to explain this one? The media overhyped Johnny football like crazy. Don't forget Skip Bayless even stated that Manziel would go down as a bigger deal in Cleveland than LeBron frickin' James. Oops. Manziel made 8 starts and was out of the NFL after 2 years. Dallas Cowboys, Taco Charlton. Dallas took the Michigan edge rusher in 2016 first-team All-Big Ten selection, 28th overall. But the results were awfully underwhelming. Charlton lasted just 2 years in Big D, recording 4 sacks in 27 games. Subsequent stops in Miami, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Chicago did nothing to help save Charlton's once promising looking career. Denver Broncos, Bradley Chubb. Yeah, he was the number 5 pick in 2018, but many scouts actually considered that great value for the Broncos at the time. Chubb was supposed to be the next megastar in Denver, alongside Von Miller, but that obviously never transpired. Chubb showed signs of brilliance by recording 12 sacks as a rookie, but unfortunately, injuries derailed the rest of his tenure in Mile High, and he never even got close to that total again as a Bronco. Detroit Lions, Eric Ebron. The 2013 first-team All-ACC star tight end out of North Carolina went 10th overall to Detroit in 2014, even though pass catching wasn't really the club's biggest need at the time. Ebron was supposed to be a nice complement to Golden State and Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson, but the man never exceeded 711 yards during his time in Motor City. Green Bay Packers, Demarius Randall. The Packers surely would have liked a mulligan on Demarius Randall, the number 30 selection of the 2015 draft. Randall was a star at Arizona State, but he never put it together at the NFL level. He made just 30 starts over 3 seasons in Titletown and really didn't accomplish much. Houston Texans, Jadeveon Clowney. No, Clowney shouldn't be deemed an all-time draft bust. But you have to remember that back in 2014, he was viewed as a generational can't-miss prospect. The Texans needed a QB, but couldn't pass on the idea of pairing Clowney with their star pass rusher J.J. Watt. So Clowney went first overall to the Texans in 2014. Yes, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler, but just consider for a moment that Clowney has yet to hit double-digit sacks in a season. Indianapolis Colts, Philip Dorsett. The Colts used the number 29 selection in 2015 on the speedy Miami wideout, joining an offensive arsenal led by Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, Frank Gore, and Andre Johnson. Suffice to say, this would go down as one of the worst picks in Colts history. Receiver was not a position of need, but Dorsett's high skill set left many enthralled by the selection. He had 2 lackluster seasons in Indy before getting traded to New England for backup QB Jacoby Brissett in 2017. Dorsett went on to win a Super Bowl with the Patriots in the 2018 season. Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles. The Jaguars have had their fair share of brutal draft mistakes in the 21st century, but many of the guys they struck out on were viewed as big-time reaches. Bortles, on the other hand, was supposed to be the franchise savior when Jacksonville took him 3rd overall in 2014. Bortles' 5-year tenure in Jacksonville was a giant disappointment, however. He exceeded 4K passing yards once and threw double-digit picks each year. It was the Jaguars' D, not Bortles, who carried the club to a surprise AFC Championship game appearance in 2017. Do not be fooled. Bortles went 24, 49, and 0 as the Jaguars starter. Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Fisher. Kansas City drafted the hulking Central Michigan offensive tackle 1st overall in 2013. Yes, he was a 2-time Pro Bowler and helped KC to a Super Bowl 54 championship, but Fisher never came close to reaching expectations as a 1st overall pick. Fisher's first few years in the league were marred by injuries and inconsistent play. He did eventually shed the bust label as time went on, but 1st overall picks are supposed to be long-term franchise cornerstone players. And, well, he certainly was not one of those. Las Vegas Raiders, Clelin Ferrell. Ferrell was a 2-time national champion at Clemson, winning the Ted Hendricks Award as well as ACC Defensive Player of the Year in 2018. The Raiders used the number 4 selection on Ferrell, but boy did they miss here. In 4 seasons as a Raider, Ferrell tallied 10 sacks, 11 pass defenses, and 2 forced fumbles. Not exactly what you'd want from a former top 5 selection. Los Angeles Chargers, DJ Fluker. Fluker helped the Alabama Crimson Tide win 3 national championships during his decorated college career. The Bolts drafted him 11th overall, hoping that Fluker would fix the team's long-time struggles on the O-line. But Fluker, who last played in the NFL in 2020 for the Ravens, never reached expectations in the NFL. The Chargers even tried moving him to guard, but to no avail, and the Bolts' struggles on the O-line persisted through the final years of the Phillip Rivers era. Los Angeles Rams, Greg Robinson. The Rams landed the number 2 pick in 2014 thanks to Washington because of the Robert Griffin III trade. But boy did the Rams blow it here. Auburn offensive tackle Greg Robinson was taken 2nd overall by the Rams in 2014. After 3 lackluster seasons, he was traded to the Lions. On the bright side, the Rams used their other 2014 first-round pick on some dude named Aaron Donald, so hey, not all was lost. Miami Dolphins, Dion Jordan. Miami actually traded up 9 spots via the Raiders so they could take the Oregon defensive end 3rd overall in 2013. Jordan was coming off first-team All-American and first-team All-Pac-12 honors in his final college year. But multiple suspensions and unproductive performances made Jordan an all-time bust in South Beach. He played just 2 seasons there, even starting just 1 game and recording 2 sacks. Subsequent stops in Seattle, Oakland, and San Fran did nothing to fix his career. Minnesota Vikings, Trey Waynes. Waynes was among the nation's top cover corners during his college tenure at Michigan State, so it was hard for many fans not to be excited when the club took him 11th overall back in the 2015 draft. But Waynes never even grew into a quality starter during his 5 years in Mini. Of the 74 games that he played, he was a starter for just 53 of them. He was a decent ball hawker, all things considered, but he never put it together as a capable lockdown man. New England Patriots, N'Keal Harry. Harry earned first-team All-Pac-12 nods in 2017 and 2018 after surpassing 1K receiving yards in each of his final 2 years at Arizona State. The defending Super Bowl champs drafted Harry 32nd overall in 2019, hoping that he would emerge as the new WR1 in Foxborough. Harry had 3 underwhelming seasons in New England, totaling 598 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. New Orleans Saints, Marcus Davenport. There was plenty of hype on the CUSA Defensive Player of the Year, whom the Saints took 14th overall in 2018. But aside from a strong 2021 season that saw him record 9 sacks, Davenport's 5-year run in the Big Easy was highlighted by injuries and inconsistent play. He played just 63 total games over 5 years. Take away the 2021 season, and he had just 12.5 sacks with New Orleans. New York Giants, Eli Apple. After winning a national title at Ohio State in 2015, Apple was selected 10th overall by the G-Men in 2016. Needless to say, it didn't take long for Big Blue to give up on Apple, who lasted just 2 years and a bit in the Big Apple, pun intended, before getting traded to New Orleans. New York Jets, Sam Darnold. The Jets traded up to take Darnold 3rd overall in 2018. Darnold was viewed by many as the best QB prospect of this class. Hashtag old takes exposed. The USC product had 3 miserable years in New York before the Jets finally dumped him to Carolina in 2021. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Reagor. The Eagles drafted Reagor 1 spot before Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wideout in the game right now. So it's probably not good that Reagor, the number 21 pick of 2020, compiled just 695 receiving yards and 3 TDs in Philly before the organization gave up and sent him to Minnesota. Pittsburgh Steelers, Devin Bush Jr. The Michigan linebacker won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Linebacker of the Year honors, plus first-team All-Big Ten and consensus All-American nods in his swan song collegiate 2018 season. The Steelers traded up to draft Bush 10th overall in 2019. Over his 4 seasons there, Bush had just 4 total sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and as many interceptions. He simply never lived up to those sky-high expectations in Steel City, despite arriving with so much hype. San Francisco 49ers, Solomon Thomas. The 2016 Morris Trophy winner and Stanford star was taken 3rd overall by San Francisco in 2017. Not to be Captain Obvious, but the 49ers probably would have liked more than 6 total sacks and no pass defenses over Thomas's 4 seasons on the West Coast. No? Seattle Seahawks, Germain Ifedi. After flourishing at Texas A&M, the big offensive lineman went 31st overall to the Seahawks in 2016. Ifedi's physicality and strength made him the ideal fit for Seattle's rush-first offense, at least on paper. But his numbers in Seattle were downright awful. Per Pro Football Focus, he allowed 21 total sacks over 4 years in the Pacific Northwest. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jameis Winston. The Bucks did not use the number 1 selection in 2015 on a QB so that he could go 28-42-0 while tossing 121 touchdowns against 88 interceptions. But that is how it went with Winston. Surely enough, the Bucks won the Super Bowl in 2020, the season that they ditched Winston and signed Tom Brady. Go figure. Tennessee Titans, Marcus Mariota. After winning like a million awards in 2014, including the Heisman Trophy, the Oregon QB went 2nd overall to Tennessee in 2015. There was a ton of excitement around the dual threat QB, but Mariota just could not get it going in the Music City. He went 29-32-0 as their starter, never hit 3,500 passing yards, and only hit 20 TD passes in a season once. After a miserable start in 2019, he was benched in favor of Ryan Tannehill. Washington Commanders, Dwayne Haskins. Haskins was a star at Ohio State, winning 4 awards, including the Sammy Baugh Trophy in the 2018 season. The Commanders drafted Haskins 15th overall in 2019, and it felt like a giant win considering that he was expected to be a top 10 pick. Haskins, who broke several records during his tenure with the Buckeyes, couldn't take all the blame here. Washington has been, well, a messy place for QBs since 1999, but Haskins just could not make it work at the NFL level, and the Commanders gave up not even 2 seasons into his career. Tragically, Haskins died in a vehicle accident in 2022, just as he was in the midst of a fresh start with the Steelers. But who do you think was the most overhyped NFL player of the past decade? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.